The sweet smell of Coca-Cola. I'm drinking coffee today. Very nice. Welcome to this day of rest as we get ready for Christmas. Christmas, as we know, is all about coming together. It's about peacefulness, the religion of peace, the opposite of Islam, which is choosing to target us this time of year. Funny enough, with cement bollards being placed everywhere around the Western world, while not telling us the reason why our tax money is getting spent to save us from vehicles being used as weapons. But we're not going to ban those. But we might ban weapons from farmers and from those that have followed the law, paid their taxes, Australian citizens, the entire time they've been alive. Now, shouldn't we be asking our country, why? Why are you not just asking yourself, how did people not of this country, with a religion that doesn't fit in, why are they given weapon systems, and then why are we punished when they show that they couldn't be trusted? We're going to be talking about all sorts of stuff today. But at the moment, what I don't want you to feel is a sense of fear, of despair, because that is part of the tactic of modern media today. We're going to bring you some peace, but we're going to bring you some reasons, 5 reasons. 5 will make you get down as to why Russia will not attack NATO, will not attack UK, and although their military could be bigger, as could be Germany's, as could be almost everyone else's, to meet their NATO obligation, I think they're barking up the wrong tree and using fear tactics. And I know they don't intend on serving themselves, putting themselves in harm's way. And how do I know that? Because sure as hell, there's no sirens if a nuclear weapon winter was going to happen for Australians. We wouldn't even get told about it. But I bet the politicians have got some bunkers ready. They want to get rid of weapons, but not off their bodyguards, not off their police, not off the federal police that turn up late every time. So today, on this day of rest, we're going to be talking about the 5 reasons why you don't need to be nervous of being Ukrained, so to speak, a foreign war. We've asked you over in the comments section, what do you think about, what was it? Wait 2 seconds. What did we ask you? It doesn't matter. I just closed the poll down here. Let's get to our lovely viewers here. For those that don't know, it's nearly 40 degrees in my house at the moment. I am sweating like an arse crack on a bloody charity event on an indoor uninsulated treadmill. Whew. G'day, Jenny. First off the block. Well done. And thank you to Carl for talking me down from where I was. This sign in the background will make a lot more sense in a minute. I know Jen would sign up if she could. Hey, Phil, there you go, mate. We've got Carl P there. G'day, team. He's about to take off tomorrow with the family. Great job. We've got 77, Cal. Hey, Kaz. It's been a while. It has been a while. We've got Mr. Buccarini. Can you believe you don't have to be an Australian citizen to own a gun? My God. No, you can have a gun and not be an Australian citizen, but as an Australian citizen, you can't have a gun. One of Johnny Howard's biggest mistakes. Biggest mistake. If you defang people and then take away their ability to defend themselves, and then you take away the microphone, and then tell them to wait, the police will save you, but all they do is turn up with a fingerprint machine. Ask any one of the cameras of the actual crime, but turn up late. Dude, you're in trouble. If it takes 15 minutes to turn up in Bondi, where there's a station less than 1 minute away, including the 50 police that patrol that beach, what's going to happen when it's your call for help? Hey, Carl, g'day, Bucko. Agreed, mate. That's the only thing they need to change about the gun laws. Yeah, give them to everyone. Okay, just before we kick off, Carl, I'll let you know what my view is. You've got to have a population that is able to defend itself, just like a citizen has the right to defend itself, and no cop, no justice should be allowed to tell you that you cannot use overwhelming force to protect your family in a place that you pay rent and tax fucking for. You don't tell the army that to take no weapons. Right? It's crazy. But what were we going to talk about? If you're wondering what this is about tonight, it's not just why Russia won't attack. It's some crazy things are happening. We've got some videos to play for you in a moment. In case you don't know, Germany, has just agreed in Parliament to conscription, volunteer conscription, if that makes sense, for their 18-year-olds. Wait, Kaz, say it properly. For their 18-year-old men. Righto? Men only. If the others want to, okay, they can. We'll find a job with them, pen and paper, no worries. But there is no obligation for females to ever sign up. Right? They've said to them, volunteer, we need 80,000 members. If we don't get the numbers, then we're going to take the numbers. And it starts at 18 years old in Germany. Incredible. By 2027, so the draft starts in 2026, January. If you're 18 years old, mandatory. If you don't sign up, then, and they don't meet the numbers as of 27, it'll be enforced conscription. There you go. Against Russia. Russia. Dave, g'day, mate. How you going? We've got FGX. I'm more concerned about Islam in Australia at the moment than our PM isn't doing much to remove it. That's right. It's actually, he's facilitating it. Exactly what Philip says there. Castle Law, mate. Absolutely. We've got Cassie there. G'day, Cassie. How you going? Good to have you here. I hope your son is doing well as well. Right. So all the best to you guys out there. That's why I've got the sign in the background. The left, all of a sudden across Europe, feminism has gone into hiding until they realise, no, this won't affect females. If the war happens, you get to do what the Ukrainian whores did. As soon as the bullets start, they're out of the country, opening OnlyFans, across the world, while their men do the dying and the sacrificing. Do I want our females to have to fight? No, I don't. But I don't want our 18-year-olds to fight overseas in a European war either. I don't. Are we in any trouble from Russia? No, we're not. We're about to find out about Article 5 today, so you understand exactly what you're looking at, talking about, and what the bigger threat is. And the bigger threat, I'll let you know right now, is not from Russia. The fear is that NATO, a conglomeration of 32 countries and growing, right, under Article 5, I'm giving a little bit away here, attack one, attack all. The problem is NATO is a 32-nation conglomerate, right, that now has also added not just physical attack and provocation, but also cyber attack. So they can even bullshit you and tell you the reason why they're doing it that may not have existed. The other thing is it's not against one country, because eventually it was originally against the Soviet Union. 1949 was when this came about. It's only been actually used, triggered once, Article 5, and that was after the New York attack by Islam on September 11. And they used AWAC planes from Europe apparently to assist with the surveillance over US territory. But other than that, never been called into play before. The problem is Russia is now part of BRICS. Let's have a look at those diagrams before we go into the videos. G'day, Scarecrow with a gun. How you go, mate? How are you? Good to see you here. You've been here for a long time, actually, haven't you? Okay, let's have a look at it. So, bam, this is BRICS. So you're looking at your poorest nations in the world that are also heavily Islamic. Right? You've got Brazil, you've got Russia. Okay, they're not. India, not. But the biggest population in the world. China, second biggest population in the world. South Africa, Egypt, Ethiopia, Iran, Indonesia, United Arab Emirates. That's BRICS, right? They are completely covered by NATO if NATO, actually stood their ground, were willing to have a go, right? That wasn't conscription either with Scarecrow with a gun signing up to the Great Unwashed, right? But if you want to come and join him, and we'll put a Nutsu cow in there for him in a moment. Also, make sure you subscribe to the channel. It doesn't really make a lot of difference, but we're a cool sort of tribe here. We give you a sense of communication in the comment section. Now we've got a very good crowd, and we talk about topical issues. Not trying to be negative, but there's no point in having a channel that you go to that just reminds you how good it is to walk on a beach, walking a dog with a toasted frickin' sandwich. Never questioning where salami comes from. Scarecrow again. How's it going, mate? Any luck with the old man, Ed? The old man? No, mate. No contact. And Merry Christmas to you there, Ed B. Jr. Dwayne, g'day, mate. How you going? Hope the little one's birthday went well, mate. And to all the new Patreon members, thank you very much. The link is below in the remarks if you ever want to join us for one-on-one conversations. Let's get rid of this one. Let's go to the next one. This next one is the NATO, the 32 nations that are signed on to, the agreement to protect each other under Article 5 and other articles as well. So you've got Albania, Belgium, Bulgaria, Canada, Croatia, Czechia, Denmark, Estonia. We've got Finland, we've got France, we've got Germany, we've got Greece, Hungary, Iceland, Italy, Latvia, Lithuania, Luxembourg, Montenegro, Netherlands, North Macedonia, Norway, Poland, Portugal, Turkey, Sweden, Spain, Slovenia, Slovakia, Romania, United Kingdom, and the United States. When they started out, there was 10 or 12 nations that started, but it's grown up to 32 now. And we'll give you how they've got Russia covered in a moment too. I suspect at the moment what we're going to see, and this is not very nice and it's not very fair, but I can see it happening, and that is the UK, Germany, NATO, they were fuming with Donald Trump that America was trying to get peace between Russia and Ukraine. Remember, the only reason there's not peace there has got nothing to do with Donald Trump or USA, the only country that has tried to get peace. It is between Zelensky and it is between Putin, where neither one of them has come to an agreement that whatever they decide is going to be the new land boundaries, whether it be over from the Donbass regions or the Dnipro River to the east of that, whatever it is, they're not coming to an agreement, and that the bleeding and the dying will continue. So to those in Ukraine, my heart goes out to you as this stretches into another year and is about to surpass the length of World War I or World War II. Very, very upsetting, very, very unnecessary. I'm going to quickly tell you here what the article is about so that you understand and can leave here and say, okay, I think I know a little bit more what we're talking about now. So we know the countries that are involved. I'll just make sure none of you's got something interesting here. I just texted him telling him you're live because he doesn't get your notifications. Okay. That's okay. I still love the guy. He's like a brother to me and he always will be. And one day I'll be in your lounge room. Are you going home for Christmas, mate? Carl, not so cow. Speak of the devil, scarecrow with a gun. Philip, you think Australia will ever join NATO? No. Russia does not have the ability to attack Australia, mate. Yeah. Be very careful if you're young, hoping that there's going to be some sort of conflict just so you can get involved in a fight in this lifetime, right? You don't want to be part of this. There we go. Whiskey 4 Echo Mike Bravo. That is Ed B. He knows about war. He knows about what it's like to be at ramp ceremonies and watch your friends go over draped in a flag and then come home draped in a casket. G'day, my brother. We need to have a talk soon. I miss ya like a man, but not sexually. We've got Wade. Hey, Kaz, I've not joined Patreon. I've not long joined Patreon, loving the content. Mate, Wade, we're waiting to have our conversation, mate. Ed B, say g'day to Chantel. She's white, in case you don't know. And I hope the puppies are going well. Righto. This is one of the reasons why there will not be attack from Russia, okay, who is part of BRICS, on the actual NATO themselves. Right. You can take this one to the bank, team. Right. Overwhelming conventional military imbalance, okay, asymmetric ability of power. So NATO's combined forces vastly outmatch Russia's in personal equipment technology. NATO has approximately 3.44 million active personnel compared to Russia's 1.32 million, over 22,000 aircraft versus Russia's 4,300, and superior naval and air capabilities. Western weapons training and integrated command structures would likely lead to rapid NATO dominance in any conventional conflict, as evidenced by Russia's struggles in Ukraine against a much smaller opponent. Having said that, they do know their background very well. The people of Ukraine are fighting for their lives, and they're doing a bloody great job. The modern Spartans. So that's the first one, a conventional imbalance. That means a first world nations, right, fighting against each other through a war of attrition. The second one, Article 5 collective defence deterrent, which means basically mutual destruction. Well, not really, your own destruction. It's like going and punching someone tougher than you in a pub, knowing what's going to happen in return. Article 5. An attack on NATO member is considered an attack on all. I've got videos for you in a minute. Triggering a unified response from 32 nations, including major powers like the US, UK, France and Germany. This has deterred aggression for 75 years, and even during the Cold War, Russia recognised provoking the full alliance would overwhelm its forces, making any deliberate attack suicidal. There is one problem with this, and I'll point that out in a moment. Good on you, mate. Okay, the next one is nuclear escalation risks mutual destruction, understanding that Russia and USA have a massive amount of stockpile of nuclear weapon systems, but I believe that America knows where all of Russians are, whether it be naval or whether it be in silos in the mainland itself, the motherland, if you will. Anyway, so while Russia has a large nuclear arsenal, NATO, led by US, UK and French capabilities, possesses sufficient second strike options for mutual assured destruction. Russian doctrine allows nuclear use in existential threats, but attacking NATO would invite catastrophic retaliation, risking the regime's survival, a deterrent experts view as highly effective. Fourth one, I'm getting these out of the way so you can ask questions if you want more details on either one of these. Russia's depleted capabilities from the Ukraine war. So Russia's military is heavily committed and degraded after years of fighting in Ukraine through attrition, and their centralised command system is the worst command system, especially when the generals aren't on the ground fighting with guys that have had training. With significant losses in personal equipment and logistics, rebuilding to threaten NATO could take until 2029 or later. They wouldn't be able to, they can't even meet their numbers at the moment, from the villages, but that could ramp up and they could grow their claws again if the actual heartland was in danger, just like Australia could. Per assessments from Germany and other intelligence services, current forces lack the sustainment for a multi-front war against a far superior coalition. Remember, we can see them everywhere they go. We can see them at day, we can see them at night, we can see where they come from the satellite imagery. We have a complete domination of their land, and that in itself could trigger something else. And we'll talk about that in a moment. Economic and industrial disparity, fueled by ADHD. Let's keep going. NATO's combined GDP dwarfs Russia's, over $50 trillion versus $2 trillion. Enabling sustained production of advanced weapons, ammunition and logistics. Sanctions, remember all the waterways are owned as well by the USA, have further strained Russia's war economy, while NATO allies are ramping up defence spending and industrial output, ensuring long-term superiority in any prolonged conflict. Right, so there are 5 reasons why you're not going to see Russia attack. This is the one thing that scares me. What if one of the countries of the BRICS, it won't be India, they don't have to take over anyone. They're already doing it, with immigration. But let's just say that China, for some reason, decides to join in the fight like Japan did with Germany, where they're not necessarily friends. They don't have a shared language, but they decide this is the time to put our best foot forward. This is our first ability to crack them while they're a little bit weak and divided as well. The sad thing is, it seems like Europe is absolutely tonguing for a fight. Article 5 cannot be enacted unless you are attacked. Okay, unless you're attacked. So the fear of that is they need to change what the definition, if they want this to go ahead, is of what attacked means. Just like sexual assault now can mean that you stared at her, but you weren't the guy she wanted to stare at her. How long is a piece of string, right? The fear is that they could rebrand the definition of what attacked means and then make it work where this fight happens. And I believe the reason why we're suddenly seeing a turnaround of aggression and maybe growing some balls between NATO, Estonia, UK, even Finland, which doesn't make sense because the first sign they saw Ukraine was in danger, they fled to NATO to make themselves safe rather than holding their borders and say, no, we'll join you as a united front with Ukraine and fighting. They didn't do that. But now they're talking tough, that they've got NATO backing them up. They've had a lot of fights with Russia in the past as well. Apparently very, very lovely people. And we've got friends in the channel from Finland. So the fear would be that they join in. The other fear, and I know this one for a fact, is that Putin decides, I'm not going to take this bullshit anymore. Okay, you wanted to poke the bear, you kept going. You wanted war, well, guess what? You're going to get it. And then he just pounds that button like a bloody fez-wearing gorilla with symbols and starts smacking that button. And then everyone across Europe and anyone he can reach sees their screens come alive with weed, 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 where the number one present for Christmas is Geiger counters, you know, as incoming missile systems come down and decimate Europe. Mutual destruction. People go, he wouldn't do that. What's the difference between being dead and being nuclear dead? There's no difference. And the reason why I know he'd do it is because I'd do it. I'd do it. If everyone was after Australia and I had the ability to hit that red button and say, fuck you in return, I'd press it. So why wouldn't he? He knows he's not going to get out of this very well at the end. The longer this goes on, he actually gets to enjoy his caviar, right? But, mate, when this is all over, I dare say he's over too. What are your thoughts, team? What are your thoughts? Let me know. Put some videos on for your entertainment in a moment. Great to see you back here, Ed B. Thank you for your service. Absolutely. For those that don't know, Ed B, like myself, used to be a YouTuber. He was a US 11 Bravo, which is infantry as well. You know, and he went to Afghanistan and a whole bunch of other places, including Australia. Right? And now he's with a lovely woman named Chantel and a bunch of dogs in the backyard, and he's got his M4 tricked out and no one's taken that gun. You know, he's not just a friend, he's a brother. Brady says, it just shows the woefulness of the police and their ability to protect anyone. It is true. Eric, question was the strategy to deplete Russian resources to fight, and what is China's capability? Merry Christmas all. Eric, I absolutely believe this is the reason they're being tough, is because Russia has now been whittled down to a point where they're unable to resupply. They've lost the center of gravity. That was their ability for momentum to make this hard and fast and get through Ukraine. They've lost that. The belief in the fight is gone as well, right? Especially with VPNs, which are allowing people to look into exactly what's happening, right? Yeah, so Carl says, Kaz, the latest is they don't call it sexual assault anymore. It's now sexual violence. That's right. That covers everything, even looking at someone the wrong way. Your shadow touched me. Yeah. Uppy. Hey, Kaz, glad to LYK that I've received my LLO for Army Officer GSO ADFA 2026. Thank you. Thanks to your PFA application tips that helped me stay very competitive in the merit list. Can't wait to serve. Cheers. Uppy, fantastic to hear. Fitness is a work in progress. You do it for your sex life. You do it for your employment. But you also do it for your mental health. It's a great thing. And Dwayne says, I'm surprised that he hasn't pushed the button already. Yeah, I've thought about it a couple of times too, my man. I have. Let's have a look at a couple of videos, so that you guys feel like you haven't just been listening to the lesbian kicking on like the one in the background here that I've created. I'm Virat. Oh, Virat. There you go. How are you? And we've got the Herman as well. It sounds German. G'day, Kaz. G'day, Herman. How you going, mate? We're going to watch 3 short videos. I deliberately picked short videos for you so that we can enjoy this one. What we'll do is we're going to go to that now. Oop, where are we, Miss Jane? There we are. So, bam, this is our first one. Is there any question before we start? G'day, Phil. There you go. And he's joined the Great Unwashed. Go and get some soap. Palmolive Gold. Don't wait to be told. You see Australia retain the Ashes again. Easy. I can't like cricket ever since Australia cheated. I'm sorry, man. It makes no sense to be wearing white clothes you'd never wear anywhere else. It's the opposite to a funeral, and it looks like a diddy party, and they're going to wear those clothes on summer beside a beach. It makes no sense. If it was in winter, it'd make a little bit more sense, but no, not a fan of cricket anymore, unfortunately. Herman, I'm looking to transfer from ARES to ARA infantry. What's the benefits of joining 1, 2 or 3 RAR in terms of culture, capability, etc.? I'd say go and join 3 RAR because it looks like they're going to be like a double strength battalion, mechanised. At the moment, they're using old equipment, but, you know, it's a fantastic place, you know, to begin your career. 3 RAR, it is hot, hotter than where it is in 1 RAR, the big blue one, and 2 RAR amphibious. But 2 RAR's got a hard time, I believe, retaining everyone getting their qualifications at the recon level, when we all know in a battalion, it's the stepping stone to, special forces in the first place. Very hard to just take anyone and make them reconnaissance qualified, especially when potentially the use for them is not there as much as what it is for mechanised with 3 RAR. Herman says, RZ. G'day, Kaz. G'day, mate. How you going? We're about to watch a video. This attractive young lady, she's going to talk to us about whatever's going on. Oops, look out.
More people should be ready to fight in order to protect the UK from Russia. It's a stark message from the head of the UK's armed forces, and he's not just talking about the military, he was speaking about the general public. Listen to this.
Sons and daughters, colleagues, veterans will all have a part to play, to build, to serve, and if necessary, to fight. And more families.
Let's not call it to fight. Let's call it what it is. Be ready to die. In a war that does not involve you, that is not on your territory, while at the same time we're calling you toxic males, you know, and national threats and right-wing extremists within your own country for bringing up the fact you absolutely love your country. Also, remember, this guy's Air Force. You know? So he's, no matter what his rank is, he probably hasn't been in danger his entire career, right? Against an opposed, you know, Air Force.
Will know what sacrifice for our nation means.
He said his desire was not to shock, but that message is sobering. So Richard quoted the world's largest crowdsourced forecasting site, Metaculus, which suggests there is a 16% probability Russia and any NATO member state will be in direct conflict before 2027.
That's pretty broad, 16%. When you consider that's not UK talking about UK. What they're saying is we need to be ready in case Russia ends up with a stoush with Estonia or with Finland, okay, or with Germany, okay, if they were to make it past Ukraine, which looks like they're probably not going to do. All right? Talking a bit of veiled speech here.
And he made a point of mentioning that he agreed with his good friend Fabien Mandon, the French Chief of Defence, referencing his recent speech to regional mayors, warning that if France falters because it is not ready to accept losing its children or to suffer economically, then it is at risk.
Our objective must be to avoid war. But the price...
Then put the pressure on Zelensky or Putin. But instead they're using all this to attack their own people internally for what they say online, or against Donald Trump, who's the #1 person who's after peace. Go figure.
Of maintaining peace is rising.
He said the threat from Russia was growing and decided to use football as an analogy.
The bookies were saying that there was a 4% chance of Liverpool winning the Premier League. So even saying the chances are remote does not mean the chances are zero. My point is that none of us can say with any certainty what the absolute risk might be. And even though simple binary statements might be easy for people to engage with, they risk instilling panic, or complacent.
You're the one instilling panic. Your government is instilling panic. Germany signing off on conscription is instilling panic, right? 4%. Russia has done nothing to the UK. My camera just said it's overheating in this this thermal barrack chamber that I'm sitting in at the moment. It's crazy. You're the one, you know, the puppet of the nation, using the uniform and medals. Don't get me wrong. I believe national service can actually save a population. You know, can make people have a sense of belonging, right? Friendship, achievement, skill sets, right? It can bond people that are immigrants that come to Australia and then sign on. It can expedite citizenship with a 700-year sign-on bonus that comes at the end of the 700 years. That's a good tactic, Kaz. Let's keep going.
Complacency. What really matters is the trend. Are the chances of conflict growing? And here I think the evidence is clear that the trend from Russia in particular is worsening. And that is the key argument for action.
As a result of
they're still on the east side of the Dnipro River and have been for the last 4 years. Where's he coming from?
increased defence spending and the experiences in Ukraine, he said Russia has a massive, increasingly technically sophisticated and now highly combat experienced military.
So, two things they're saying at the same time. One, they're laughing that Ukraine is kicking the ass of Russia, at the same time saying, but also we need to be afraid all the way over on the Isle of the UK, while they're doing nothing about the Pakistan gangs, you know, and the immigrant violence that's happening in their own nation. I know which one is the biggest danger, clear and present danger to their youth. It's not Russia.
Military.
Over the past 20 years, Russia has delivered significant defence reform and investment into what were weak and hollowed out armed forces. The Russian armed forces are now more than 1.1 million strong, consuming more than 7% of GDP and around 40% of government spending, which is a sum that has more than doubled over the past decade. While I've argued that Russia's campaign in Ukraine has so far been a strategic failure, with NATO bigger, more united, stronger, and spending increased amounts on rearmament, we should be under no illusions that Russia has a massive, increasingly technically sophisticated, and now highly combat experienced military.
Sir Richard warned Russia is developing new and destabilising weapons systems such as nuclear-armed torpedoes and nuclear-powered cruise missiles, putting nuclear weapons in space. As the government ramps up working with industry, what does he want society to do?
Building this industrial capacity.
Just quickly going to answer these two questions. This is one of the big fears too, that if the UK goes into this and makes the investigation work, changes the definitions and says we were cyber attacked, not physically attacked, therefore NATO was attacked, Article 5 is triggered, we want to be in this for whatever reason they want, whether it be power, whether it be money, whether it be influence, I don't know. The danger is that not just the 32 nations that are part of NATO getting involved in an Article 5 retaliation on Russia, or whoever steps into that plate, it's the fact they might also, exactly like Erica said here with CANZUK, which is Canada, New Zealand and the UK, then we could be in the shit. We could get called in, whether it be ANZUS, whether it be CANZUK, whether it be AUKUS, you know, whether it be fucking you name it. We can get told, hey, come and join in. The pinata is Russia. Come and get some lollies. They're falling at his ass right now. And our country might says yes, because so far Albo does the opposite of what the people are ever want. He should be standing down right now. Let us know what you think about that in comments. What do you think of the chance of China invading Taiwan? I don't believe that there is a chance of that occurring unless NATO ends up in a fight against Russia, and then as a side distraction, China says this is our chance, and Xi Jinping goes in with Taiwan. But Taiwan has basically said they'll destroy their own semiconductors if China tries it, or they'll hit the Three Gorge Dam with a missile system that'll make a agricultural, but also a natural, not natural, a man-made disaster. G'day, Simon. How you going, mate? Sorry I'm late. That's what she said. That's what she said.
Also means we need more people who leave schools and universities to join that industry. So we need defence and political leaders to explain the importance of the industry to the nation. And we need schools and parents to encourage children and young adults to take up careers.
So the same people that can't tell you what a woman is, you want them to now explain to uni students who've been told to hate their own nation to now sign up and fight for it while being called toxic. That doesn't make sense.
In the industry. And we simply need more people to develop the skills that defence industry needs, like STEM, digital and project management. And we also need to harness the power of those institutions that will make the difference in war. Just as I've seen in Ukraine, where the cleverest minds from Ukrainian universities and industry are manipulating and exploiting technology to solve specific tactical problems.
Okay, quick question there from Jared. Hey, Coz, do you have, and Brady above him, Scotty, all the best to you and Quinny there, mate. You take it easy and watch out for your back. He's got a Brokeback Mountain right now. We need you to start a YouTube channel in your truck as well, mate. Hey, Coz, do you have any worries about our army being battle ready, just based on the fact so many of the army members not seeing active combat? Yes and no. We've got to keep up our part as an ally with the USA. The one people that come and the one nation that tried to come and help us when our northern shores were endangered by the Japanese, but at the same time, I believe national service would be an answer, and also with the gun buyback being scrapped, and I believe that everyone that has served the nation, in a respectful way, in a safe way of the nation, I believe that soldiers should be allowed to have any weapon they want. They should be able to have an M4 completely fucking tricked out. If police should be allowed to have open carry in their civilian clothing if they want. Those that can be trusted with weapons, have proved they can be trusted with weapons, should be allowed to have the weapon they want to make the bad motherfucker in the street that wants to target you take a second thought. When a soldier walks on with open carry onto a train and he's got a brand new Glock and it's got 2 notches on the handle, and he's got that there and he comes and sits down amongst the ladies, I dare say they're feeling a lot safer, right? You can't pray your way out of violence, team. I've been at the Kibera massacre. I saw what happens when you run to the shelter of the church for protection. You're going to meet with closed doors. That doesn't mean I'm not spiritual, guys. I am highly religious, and I'm getting ready for the Lord's birthday. But we do need a second regiment of infantry. We do need to have all attached with that, and we need another big base as well, I reckon. Well, Kaz, that is actually a great idea. I'd love it, Pip. I'd love it. I don't believe that any immigrant should be able to have a shooter's license. And I don't believe that any immigrant should be allowed to have political power. None. Islam in particular should not be allowed to have ever any political power. And I believe that they would leave Australia of their own volition. Because if they want to carry out, is the word right, I don't know, the intifada against Australia, they're not coming to a Christian nation to be your friend. Is there some great ones amongst them? Absolutely. Probably the majority. Right? But you cannot afford to let people in a position of power when they've told you their whole motive is to come to the Christian nations and overtake them through birth, through influence, until they have the power, and then you'll find out who they really look like. I've lived in Islamic countries, team. They're just as bad to each other as what they are to us while still calling themselves the religion of peace. Not so much. I couldn't agree more. I think that we need a certain amount of our population armed. Absolutely. It worked perfectly before the gun buyback with John Howard. If you look at how the Australian Army performed in East Timor and Iraq War I, They hadn't seen combat for a very long time. I don't think it's a concern. It's a good point, Powley. Australians never disappoint. And in World War II, they were the spear point of all major assaults by the Allies against the Germans, and they never ran, ever. When are you running for PM, Kaz? I'll vote for you. I don't want to run. But I tell you what I am going to do. At the start of the year, not only am I going to put some more money back into the S&P 500, right, which I'd recommend to you guys to do, but I'm not a financial consultant or fiduciary, but I'm going to join the One Nation Party because I don't give a shit about the Liberal Party anymore. I don't give a shit anymore about Labor, never have. I do believe in One Nation because they've got the balls to say they love the country and they're willing to make sacrifices. They're willing to be pariahs. They're willing to be looked at bad, to say what they mean to protect the village. And for that, I give respect. Brady says, yet she is free to wear virtually nothing in public and it is the male's fault for looking. Okay, yep, very, very true. Carl, the best trust you can have is having combat soldiers, having personal weapons. Absolutely. MMA recap, gold and silver. Green ticks. Got my One Nation vote, Kaz. Well done, Jared. People say bad things about Pauline Hanson. She might do some funny things every now and then, but I tell you what, the one thing that no one ever says is she's fake. Yep. Jacinta Price, I hope she goes and joins One Nation too. They're not going to know what to do when we've got a woman of colour who's also in One Nation saying love it. I believe in that. Let's get to the next video. This guy's starting to waffle. They're using him as a political mouthpiece, for credibility for politicians. As far as I'm concerned, if a fucking politician wants to send children for a war that doesn't involve them, then the first person that should be going over is the politician with his greedy abdomen, small arms and big appetite and jowls, and his kids as well. Let the first people to fall be the ones that told us we have to fight. Here, I told my family I was going to join One Nation, leaving the Libs with their net zero. That's it, Scotty. We're seeing a revolutionary with love. Ro Jogan. Love the name, man. Do you think or see any possibility of Polish troops going to Ukraine? Not if they're part of NATO. They're not allowed to. If you're part of NATO, you are prohibited to go on the offensive against Russia, formerly of the USSR. Not allowed to, unless you leave it. Great to see Barnaby did too. One Nation will never win. It's a false hope. I agree, Brady. I agree. I agree. Maybe. All it needs is the right, the right fuse to be lit. Here's one. This is Germany. Government approves voluntary military service to boost the army. Let's go.
Faced with growing Russian threats and an unreliable US partner under the Trump administration, Germany has agreed to...
That's already pissed me off. You don't have to be a Donald Trump fan, but everyone knows he's tried his goddamn hardest to make the dying stop. Regardless of what country you come from, and the people that are pushing the war, and not meeting their demands of NATO's requirements of the 4%, is France is one of them, and they're the ones throwing shade. Germany, they're a proud nation. They need to shut the fuck up. Most of the biggest wars of the last century were fighting against them. Pull your head in.
A new military plan to boost its numbers.
There is no reason for concern or fear because the lesson is clear. The more capable our armed forces are of deterrence and defense through armament, training, and personnel, the less likely we are to become a party of conflict. And that serves everyone. That is the lesson we learned from the Cold War.
The coalition government will focus on voluntary service by making it more attractive to young people. Starting next year, all 18-year-old men will have to fill in a questionnaire on whether...
All men will have to fill it in, not females. Right? Did you hear that? Right. Where's equality going? I don't want the females to have to serve. I don't want to serve beside females. But I'm telling you now, if that's the case, then they should lose their vote as well.
They would want to serve and undergo a medical test. There will be other financial incentives as well to encourage people to join the military. But the agreement has not been without its hurdles, particularly over questions regarding mandatory service. While there are no plans to reinstate conscription,
Look at the optic. All it's showing you is female after female after female after female.
it's not off the table.
We want to inspire as many young people as possible to serve their country. If voluntary participation ultimately proves insufficient,
The way to get people to want to join the military is to stop making them, feel like their own nation is against them with politics. Give them something to strive for. These dickheads need to be making Germany better every single year, not inviting another 400,000 immigrants in while saying that you're the bigot. Same with UK, same with Australia. Stop selling out our country to people that haven't bled for us and start worrying about the farmer.
there will also need to be a mandatory obligation, aiming for a conscription system that enlists as many individuals as necessary to ensure our defence capabilities.
But this would need additional legislation passed. NATO Secretary-General Mark Rutte welcomed the agreement as NATO targets call for Germany to build up its total military strength to 460,000 troops, including active and reserve. The Bundeswehr is currently a far cry from those figures, with only around 182,000 active soldiers and 49,000 reservists.
And that is normal as times get good within a country, as technology goes up, etc. Now, so that's not necessarily an indictment on the countries that have a withering military. It's the cost of peace. And we saw that in Rome, and ultimately it destroyed Rome. Next one, this is about Article 5, so you understand exactly what we're talking about. We'll go into that in a moment. First of all, I'll see what you guys got to say. Simon Powell says, did you know that the majority of Muslim countries, especially Arab countries, don't have immigration? Why would you want to go to a shithole? You wouldn't want to. Having said that, some of the most lovely people that I ever worked with were in the Sinai Peninsula, Islamic. Beautiful people. The mosques that I went to were beautiful. I don't like to call it a prayer. It hurts my ears, but I've got big ears. But it's all about expanding, through birth rates and through taking over the nations they go to. It's an agenda team. It's not an accident. Will Trump pull the US out of NATO? I don't know, because there's two reasons why he could leave NATO. One is because you don't want to stuff around with Russia. And the other one is because you do want to stuff around with Russia, but you want to go in there independently to help Ukraine. But as part of NATO and the Article 5 we're about to find out now, you can't go and help Ukraine, and reinforce them, right, unless you actually are outside of NATO. You're not allowed to do an attack on a country, which will invoke a fight. Saudi Arabia is the richest country in the world. It is, but it's built by foreigners as well, They've got the oil money, mate. If they hadn't have found oil, they'd be kissing goats. Patrick, it's ridiculous how many people jump on the F-Trump train just because it's Trump. They're completely biased, and even if he did something good, they'll still shit on him. Absolutely. Absolutely, but they always look the same. Have you noticed that? The people that don't like him. You've probably got someone in your own family that hates him, but try talking sense to that person. You'll find it doesn't matter what the issue is. They don't agree with you with anything. That's okay. Brady, hey, Brother Powell. Would I move to rubble, says Brady. Mate, when you know some of the things that happen within the Islamic religion, whether it be cousin marriage or whether it be early marriage, which goes against every Christian nation, I don't understand how they're allowed to be here, let alone be in power. And that's not an indictment on the individual, but as the group, which I don't even know if it's a religion or whether it's an organisation. Anything that you're born into, that they say that you can get the death penalty for leaving, doesn't sound like something I want in our country. USA Trump won't leave NATO. They lose control and lose having a great say in what goes on in Europe. Absolutely. I probably reckon you're exactly right there, Simon. Patrick says 100%, mate. It's always the mouth breather, says Phil. I agree, Carl. Yeah, they normally have purple hair, unfit and tuck shop arms. Absolutely. I just had to make sure my hair wasn't purple then. Yep. Right, we're going to see about Article 5. Again, I've kept this deliberately short. It only goes for 3 minutes, but you'll have a great understanding of Article 5, which is the NATO's handbook. Let's go.
Collective defence is at the heart of NATO's founding treaty. It binds NATO's 30 member countries.
32
If
now.
one or more are attacked, Article 5 can be triggered. Article 5 states, an armed attack against one or more of them in Europe or North America shall be considered an attack against them all. Once triggered, it allows such actions as it deems necessary, including the use of armed force to restore and maintain the security of the North Atlantic area.
An act of war is something which is an armed attack. That's what is specified in the Article 5, the Collective Defence Clause of the NATO Treaty, the Washington Treaty of 1949. But what an armed attack actually is these days is broader than it was in 1949, because NATO invoked Article 5, the Collective Defence Clause, for the first.
Tim, could you imagine being a country, let's just say Russia, for example, USSR, previously, could you imagine knowing there's 32 countries that have signed on to some sort of agreement that should you have a problem against any one of them, that all of them are going to come and kick your ass? 32 people in a bar, you're sitting there drinking your vodka, and there's 32 people just going, go on, do something, say something. Let's provoke him. Let's provoke him. And then when he does, you cop an absolute pinata, ass kicking from the 32 nations. Some of them that have been hiding over the back, they're going to come and throw something at your head, not getting close enough to get hurt himself. It's incredible. It was designed to prevent the bully, but now is the bullying actually happening from NATO, who keep putting poor Ukraine, who's copped an ass kicking with their heroes, every time they cop a bad nosebleed, then NATO props them up and says, you're okay, mate, slaps them on the back, you're okay, and then pushes them back in there but never gets in the ring himself. Who's the victim here? I don't know. I still have doubts how Article 5 would be applied, to be honest. We've been seeing Russian missiles and drones penetrate airspaces repeatedly, and really the reaction, it has to be, is fuck all, but they've never been against a NATO nation. Because if they do anything to trigger that, what would happen is there'd be an attaché of English-speaking, command staff that would come together, and then from there what there would be is an overlapping of air superiority that would be getting coordinated for 24-hour a day potential attrition in the Ukraine, but also maybe in the internal Russia itself. It would be like Carl doing a what would we call it? Project management. He'd be in there going, okay, Germany, you hit them. Okay, tomorrow Finland, tomorrow Britain. The next day is going to be Italy, whoever it is, and they would just keep that power and pressure continually going. And then when Russia sues for peace, what they'll say is, we're going to break Russia up into 32 pieces where everyone in Europe of NATO potentially gets a slice. No one wants the Siberia, but although I wish there was, a little bit of Siberia in this house at the moment. Okay, let's see what else he's got to say.
So far, only time in its history, on the 12th of September, immediately after the 9/11 terrorist attacks against the United States. And I don't think, of course, many people who knew NATO during the Cold War would have expected that when Article 5 was finally used, it would have been in response to a terrorist attack rather than a major tank thrust by the Soviet Union through the Fulda Gap in Germany during the Cold War. NATO subsequently has declared that a cyber attack, if it had a certain level of severity and really did a lot of damage, could also be considered as a case of collective defense and trigger Article 5. So
Russia does an independent investigation into politicians' unfounded successes in the stock market and their use of public taxpayers' money for free travel, and all of a sudden, Article 5 is instilled.
The spectrum is quite broad. It depends on what you call an armed attack. It can be with electrons through cyberspace as much as through tank shells and missiles these days. But at the end of the day, the determination of if it qualifies or doesn't qualify is going to be made by the 30 countries collectively around the table of the North Atlantic Council in Brussels.
So basically, they can make it fit if they want to make it fit. You know, if a war happens against Russia from NATO, it's not necessarily because Russia's done anything in particular, it's because they've made the narrative work. What better way to control your nation, to make it peacetime footing, call off elections, right? And then from there, you know, conscript all the people, send the bravest to the front to shut them up. Yeah. Can NATO act
After
without
the
Article?
Salisbury attacks back in 2018, NATO did act collectively. It did not declare Article 5. It didn't respond with a military countermeasure, but it expelled hundreds of Russian diplomats from embassies in Brussels, in the United States, right across the NATO world. The EU took similar action, and many other countries came out in sympathy because of the horror of the use of Novichok, and they expelled Russian diplomats as well. So I think today NATO needs to act above Article 5 level if it's an armed attack, but it can't just sort of sit with its hands crossed and do nothing if there's a provocation below the Article 5 level. So it's greatly developed what it calls its toolbox of responsive measures, so that, you know, proportionate to the form of the aggression, the outrageous nature of the behavior, it's able to adopt some sort of countermeasures.
Okay. Let's turn that off. There's another video I'm going to show you in a second if you decide to stay, which is very interesting as well. Now, we've got some new ones there. We've got Ro Jogan, try to say that one 5 times. As a Polish-born now living in Australia, I don't like the way we handle Russia. You've got to be careful not to poke the bear. You do have to be careful. I appreciate you, mate. We've got Wasp. G'day, buddy. How you going? How's life going, man? And we've got Rogues again. Can you explain Article 4? We've seen it involved twice, I think, in recent times, but it feels like no actual outcome came from it. So, guys, there isn't just Article 5. Naturally, there's Article 6, there's Article 4, etc. Wait, let me have a look at Article 4, what that one is again. I was looking at it today. Sorry if you're not finding this interesting, team, but it is very important to understand where our world is going, and understanding that any one of these countries that decides that this is the right time, that Russia is has been attrited enough, worn down enough, that could be the provocation where the entire world of 32 nations, first world nations, decides to strike against Russia to then take their head off the snake, so to speak. Having said that, there's several options where the BRICS agreement means that they could now come over the top and assist Russia if they've got enough interest there or feel compelled to. The other thing is that we could get dragged into a protracted conflict where the politicians never do the bleeding but still get paid, you know, and we actually end up losing in the long run, okay, the innocence of our youth, the thought of potentially having a future for our children. Now, the Western world is not very old at all, but the one thing I do agree with is we will not last as long as Rome did, which also fell. You know, and that was because of immigration. That was because of lack of ownership through economy to own your own land. It came from having corporate farmers instead of individual farmland, unlike Kent over in the UK. There's so much you can learn by having the conversations that allow you to go into things and say, it's not about me, bro. It's not about me. I'm doing this for the welfare of our nation. You must know what a woman is, and that is an adult female that was born with a pencil case. God told us what our parts are. It's not hard, right? Brady, that's another issue. Where are the Christian leaders standing for the rights of their followers? Nowhere, absolutely. Could turn nuclear from Russia in that scenario? Absolutely, it could. Absolutely. And again, the reason why I say it could happen is because I would do that if I was him. If I got to the stage where my people had no chance of getting out of this, yep, I'd flip the table. I'd do it if someone's cheating playing Monopoly. Let's have a look at this for a second. Article 4. So people in Europe probably all know these articles, Tim. Article 4 refers to the different rules in various key documents, most commonly the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, which bans slavery and servitude. It also appears in the NATO treaty, allowing consultation on threats to security, the UN Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities. Okay. I'm not sure what that one's really getting to. Anyway, I believe that everyone that contributes to their nation should be given some sort of special or a more advanced treatment than those that do not. Should you be allowed to vote if you don't contribute to the country? No. Should you be allowed to vote if you don't, if you're not under the part of the draft? If it occurs? No. If you get to stay on the life rafts while everyone else goes down the Titanic, should you be allowed to vote? No. If you get all of those privileges in society, how do you actually get to vote for who dies, for your comfort? That doesn't even sound right. Right. From my brief understanding, Article 4 allows a nation to call like a Security Council, but then what the fuck is the outcome? Yeah. There's a lot of bias in these teams. We've got to be very, very careful. Very careful. Where are we? So there's a video that I wanted to show you. Let's go to this one for a second. And what I'm going to do... Wait. This one was very interesting. I saw this is for those that don't care about this situation. This is probably a topic you're not allowed to look at on YouTube. I'm
getting something wrong.
Okay. This is about the USA, but I'm sure it's about the rest of the world as well. Do you want to see it? 1 hour, mate. That's 1 hour. Okay, no problems, man. Thank you for that, Simon. They are lukewarm, just did good, and they still shouted him. Absolutely. Absolutely. The religion of peace. Have they made mistakes? Absolutely. Do they pay for it when they do? Absolutely. I've got to run, mate. No worries there, Ro Jogan. I love the name. Got to run, mate, but good to be here. Enjoy your life, brother. Thank you, mate. Someone's got to be able to stand up and give you guys the voice. We've got Patrick Williamson subscribed 17 minutes ago. If there's anyone else that's subscribed, let us know. Slap on there, subscribe. It costs nothing. Tick the bell, tick all, and that means you'll get told when we come on. Time flies when you're having fun. Absolutely, Carl. Letting me cop an ass kicking for what I say in the future while you silently go, I agree. I agree. Show us. Okay, MMA, because you asked, I'm going to show you. If anyone else had said it, I wouldn't have done it. Right? We've got to let MMA get his way. Here we are. Bam. Did you know 1/3 of Gen Z has already passed away? This only came out a couple of days ago. What I'm going to do, live action, I'm going to subscribe to this channel. I've already given him a thumbs up. This guy on the screen at the moment, I've already seen this, but I thought you guys might be interested in it. By the end of this video, that guy with his hat on back to front, not me, that guy there, you're going to want to hit him with a skateboard. Okay, let's go. This dickhead. And I believe what he says is absolutely an indictment on the fact that today's society, you are living in a chamber of deceit if you think that you have freedom of speech. Because we've never seen more left-leaning feminisation, liberal theory happening as a coalition of the LGBT and feminism, right, that you cannot do, you cannot say without being judged by those that quite often contribute the least, right? But this is in their area, and it doesn't look good for them. Let's see it. Patrick, I've been watching your content for the last 2 months as I'm hoping to enlist in the army. I've had my U session with the recruiter and I'm just waiting until I do my medical psych and interview. Well, Pat, thank you very much, mate. What I recommend to you to do while we're in this down period at the moment is jump onto Patreon so you and I can have a one-on-one conversation. Hopefully Wade gives you a message after I talk to him today. Brady says Miles doesn't have the balls to even contact Russia regarding the remains of Sergeant Samuel George Pierce VC's remains to be repatriated home. Weak as piss. You know, the people that tell us what to do, all we need them to have is moral courage. They expect us to have physical courage. They expect us to die with our face to the foe, you know, lest we forget, you know, but they haven't even got the ability to stand up there and say the truth. I agree. Thank you very much, Simon. That's the Patreon there. If you decide you want one-on-one, where you can really hear the dark humour, come on. Bring your own views. Right? I want you to be able to push back on something you don't agree with. You know, I don't want this to be an echo chamber. Right. Let's get to it. This one, whoa, be careful bringing this one up in front of the ladies, but they should all see it, and they should see it at school. Because remember one thing, if you don't have youth, no one looks after the elderly. And one day, the youth become the elderly. If there's no one there below them, they're in big trouble.
Would you be surprised if I told you that 1/3 of Gen Z has already passed away?
Wow.
Oh.
Why do you believe that 1/3 of Gen Z has already passed away? I'm going to give you 20 seconds to put your reason down below. 20 seconds. Why would 1/3 of Gen Z now have already passed away? Gen Z means those that are under 25 years old. What's happened? Do you believe it? Is this propaganda? It'll all make sense in a moment. Come on, who's going to have a go? Why do you believe 1/3 of Gen Z may already have passed away? COVID jabs, says Eric. Okay, well, we'll never know. I know I've been sick ever since then, and when I don't have when I don't have a video coming out on time, a lot of the reason is because one, I'm a dad, but also because I am so goddamn tired all the time. It's like a chronic fatigue syndrome that I've got, and it started with the jab, overlapping with going to India. I don't know which was the cause or whether it was both, but bam. Jared, g'day, buddy. Lefties is a big part of it. You'll see in a minute. Too much iPad. You reckon they've killed themselves with their iPad because they are too soft and can't handle life. So you're talking about self-deletion. 2 more answers and then I'll put it up. Have we got any new subscribers? Ash. Okay, we've got a second one for the jab. Huh. One more. Don't give it away, Carl. I spoke to him before. You know, this chat. One more guess. What do you got, team? Social media, bullying and suicide. So weak people? No. Let's go.
Could you guess what that cause is?
Gun violence? Yeah, I'd have to say gun violence. Vehicular accidents.
Probably.
The Aussie pisses me off the most in this. They found an Aussie, you know, in this, you just saw it before there, with what looked like a kapuka hairstyle. He annoyed me almost the most. A coward.
Something to do with like social media, like mental health Maybe suicide?
Mental health issues.
Yeah, that's what came to mind first.
Do you mean like suicide? Or?
Yeah.
Suicide. Suicide?
I know there's a lot of mental health struggles, so maybe suicide.
Cancer? I'm gonna go with cancer. Maybe obesity, diabetes, or diseases in a sense, yeah. Poor healthcare, starvation.
What generation are you guys?
I think we're Gen Z.
Starvation. We're the fattest the world has ever been, ever. There is no one starving, team. No one.
Gen Z.
Gen Z, yeah.
What year were you born?
1999.
I think you made the cutoff for Gen Z.
Yeah.
Right. What if I told you that 1/3 of your generation, Gen Z, has actually already passed away?
I would believe that, actually.
What do you think it would be from?
Drug use? Drug use?
Like weed or something.
Drugs, alcohol. Fentanyl. Fentanyl.
Drugs. Probably drug overdoses.
What if I told you that 1 in 3 members of Gen Z has been aborted?
Oh. That's...
Bam.
Wow. I did not know that was like the leading cause.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I didn't even think about that.
That's not super surprising, no.
Would you be surprised if I told you that 1 in 3 members of Gen Z has actually been aborted? Does that surprise you at all?
Yes.
Yes? Not really that surprising because many young girls who get pregnant by accident abort their unborn babies.
Why would they do that? I thought they were the more gentle sex.
So it's not really that surprising to me.
Whether it's right or wrong, they're gonna make their choice and they'll live with it.
Or not live with it, I guess, if you're killed, but I'd be surprised if I told you it was through abortion.
Through abortion. Wow. You said 1 out of every 3?
Yeah.
Seems high.
No, I did not.
I didn't think of that.
I did not think of that either. Yeah,
This guy's girlfriend is Asian, pretty young lady, dressed well, and he's smaller than her. He's smaller than his girlfriend, and she's Asian. Jeez, that's horrible.
I have thought at all.
I think it'd be more like 2 out of 3, or?
I honestly feel like yes.
I thought it would be lower.
Really?
The heck?
Lower. Definitely.
Significantly lower.
1 out of 3.
Okay, the majority of that 33% is through abortion.
No, 1/3 exclusively is abortion. All the other causes of death are on top of that.
Wow, okay, right, yeah, no, I wouldn't have picked that. Again, I don't believe that someone's life should be ended before their birth, but then again, in some situations, if you're in a spot where, would you rather, let's say, for example, stereotypically a single mother is going to conceive a child, she's got no money, she has to work a job, she has other children, would you rather a child grow up in horrible conditions and live a life that's going to be set for failure, or would you rather have the option to, not give that child a horrible life? It's a really toss and turn, so I guess I don't have an opinion on either side because in certain situations there's always the right answer and in certain situations there's always the wrong answer.
What do you think about that number? Should it be lower, higher, about the same?
I feel like it should be lower, shouldn't it?
Why is that?
Less deaths. We need to save lives.
It should be the most simple mathematics you can do. I'll show you in a minute the comments.
Like keep people here, stop eliminating them,
Do you think that number should be lower, higher, should stay the same?
Lower.
What would be the ideal number, do you think?
Ooh. 20.
20% or 20 abortions?
20%.
So you think 20% of your generation being killed would be all right?
No.
Maybe even lower?
0%.
Oh, okay. All right, 0%.
I think people should look into the fact of before they have a kid,
It maybe could be lower. Well, I think some people abort because they are raped, and if that wouldn't happen, there might be less abortions.
Here in the U.S., the overwhelming majority are not due to that. Over 90% are elective.
Even if you're in a lower socioeconomic standard or if you're going to be struggling to bring up more people, they're going to have no food, they're going to be poor, they're going to be living out of their car, whatever.
So poor people can afford smoking, alcohol and cocaine and ecstasy and Netflix, but can't afford food for a child? Give me a break. All of our parents were poor when I grew up.
You really got to toss up and see, would that option be better than, killing the child? So again, I think for every situation it is play by play. And again, I don't necessarily have an opinion on each because there's always a right and wrong answer for both sides.
You used the phrase killing the child and you said that would be potentially better in some circumstances and having a difficult quality of life.
I wouldn't say killing a child is
That is what you said, yeah.
You know, killing the child. Yeah, okay, all right. Well, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying some people's opinions might be that. I never said that was my opinion. I'm saying that some people might see that to be better.
Do you think it's killing someone?
Again, I don't really know too much about it. I'm not going to comment on that personally. I don't know. I don't study abortions, to be honest with you. So again, I don't know any information about how the child's developed or anything along those lines.
I mean, we do have some information. Could I just show you a photo of development?
Nah, I'm sweet.
You just mentioned that the reason that you didn't have a full opinion is you were uninformed, and so I'm just offering you some information.
Fair enough, that's a good point. I think I'd rather just be uninformed at the moment. Yeah.
What I'll say to you, team, is have an opinion based on as much facts as you can find on any subject that is to do with the welfare of your village. Even if you're ignorant to the rest of the world, for your village, protect it. Put the right people forward. Have the right views. Don't accept ignorance from family members or friends. If that means your group gets smaller, then so be it. Because the day is going to come where you're not fighting abroad, you're fighting internally, domestically, because no one checked or picked up that litter or fixed that broken window. Australia's biggest threat is our own doing. It's our own leadership. It's our own failed social program that is not working. From conception, Simon.
Okay, so you're not interested in just seeing any medical information about fetal development?
To give you my opinion, that's all I'll give.
But even though it's uninformed?
Yeah, I'm happy to admit that.
And personally, this might not sound good or bad, but I personally don't care what people do. So like if someone gets an abortion, I'm doing me. You know
they kill their 1-year-old.
So this guy, I could imagine, in a Titanic situation, would be pushing women back down the stairs so that he could get onto the life raft and making sure he's got space for two so his feet don't feel cramped.
Do you care? Because, I mean, you're doing you.
Honestly, if someone kills their 1-year-old, that's terrible, but like, I'm still doing me. I'm not going to let that affect my life.
Do you think that abortion is killing an innocent person?
No comment.
Okay, why is that?
Because I don't think there's a right or wrong. I don't think I have the knowledge to speak on this subject.
Okay.
It's just more of so.
But do you think right or wrong generally, or just about this issue?
Explain what you mean.
Or I'm just asking, like, do you think there's no right or wrong with like everything, or just with this specific issue? Like, if I said, is it okay to murder a 1-year-old, would you say that? Would you think that's wrong?
Personally, yeah.
Okay, all right. So
the reason why I'm bringing this up, team, is because the threat of a war with someone like Russia or China is a remote maybe. But what's happening in our own nation is 100% daily. So don't be looking at the boogeyman in the distance while being blind to what's happening in front of you in your own nation, hurting your own tribe. I know a lot of people have opinions on this. I know there is a lot of social media that is pressuring you to think in a certain way. The fear that a grown man has in front of a grown woman to speak his truth, despite the fact that he could clear a bar with his MMA-trained fists, but is shit scared of what the ramifications are if he just tells the truth in front of a family or those that he's there to help lead and protect. It's a spooky development. And that's how you lead to being taken over, enslaved by either your own people, or a foreign entity.
It's not that you don't believe in right or wrong generally, it's just specifically about abortion. Is that true, or correct me? I'm trying to understand. I'm not trying to put words in your mouth. So tell me if I'm getting something wrong.
Right or wrong, let's see. It's still no comment.
How's that hard?
Okay.
Life is just what it is. Everyone has free choice. Like people can go kill someone if they want. I'm not saying it's good, but they can do that. And whatever happens, happens. So be it. Like, I wouldn't hope for that.
Guess who's not protecting you or your children on a train if something goes down? This guy. This is the face of estrogen-filled little homo, that will not be there to help you or the village. And when I say homo, I don't mean LGBT. That's just a term, all right?
Why not?
Because I'm an empathist.
An empath?
I'm an empath, yeah, so I care a lot about people. I don't want to see people get hurt. I feel really bad when people get hurt.
Okay, so does that mean you feel bad when they are aborted?
maybe if I personally know them, like, I don't feel bad right now if someone just got aborted right now. I mean, that's their choice.
Well, you're an empath.
You know what I mean? So what?
Well, I was just trying to make sure I understood what you were saying. You said you're an empath and you feel bad when people get hurt, and so I was just saying, you know, if they're hurt through abortion, does that
Of course
also
I feel bad when
extend?
people get hurt, but like, if I don't know you, like I just mentioned, someone just got aborted again, I'm not gonna sit here and like cry about it. Like,
You said you're empathetic towards people being harmed. I think it's, you know, arguable that you could make the case that a child's being harmed during an abortion.
Okay, I got one more word and then I'm gonna walk.
Okay.
Like Lil Yachty said, them kids. And that's that.
Are you serious?
Do you think that
He just lost her then. That girl, I believe, is going to look at him after that like, you're not who I thought you are, you piece of shit. Okay, let's have a look at, oh, damn, no comments. It didn't allow a comment section. Man, if you don't allow comments, sorry, I'm taking the like back off you. Nah, I'll give it back. It was a good topic. All right, let's get out of that. All right, Jared. Yeah, that's right. Hey, Bill, how you going, mate? Billy Fran. Guys, we've got to look after our village. We've got to look after our people. We've got to appreciate and protect those that can't protect themselves. We've got to have empathy for those, again, that can't defend themselves. But when it comes time to the village, protecting that, then the people need a bigger voice that are going to do the bleeding, you know, to provide the food, to keep the wolves at bay. This guy is like a politician, defers every question. Absolutely, Carl. She's running rings around this kid, absolutely. Hopefully, this is a little bit of embarrassment or shame, an indictment on his character that makes him walk away and go, you know what? I reacted in a way I wasn't happy with, you know, and now I change and think in a different way. You know, the subject they're talking about is a goddamn tragedy, all right? I don't necessarily judge the lass for it, all right? But the fact that the man has no say in it and can lose a child that he wants, you know, and loses his ability to ever have his child because one person's allowed to make the decision, you know, is a horrible thing. You know, none of us were let go. So, yeah, I know what I can do. I know what I can do. There is someone today, Legion of Men, which is an excellent channel.
Welcome back, Tribe.
And he spoke about this subject today, but he does have a comment section. Wait. No. Maybe that got taken away by YouTube. Okay. So, team, it's on to you now. Whatever you decide you want to talk about, or he is done. He is done for the day. This is your day of rest. You know, Simon says he's on the phone to Steve Bryce. For those that don't know, Stevie Bryce is a veteran, senior NCO, retired, who's gone through some real hard times over in Western Australia with his lovely wife, who is having a hard time too, and Liam is his son, you know, who's holding the family together, doing a fantastic job. Can we get some thumbs up there for Liam? You know, because this Christmas could be tough for that young kid, you know, and I'm sure he's aged beyond his years. But guys, gals, you know, I don't do Facebook. I don't really do Instagram. I'm on Instagram, but, you know, I haven't got the body for it anymore. So we do this, YouTube. Create conversations so you can have a talk about it, think about it, etc. And I hope that it allows you to be able to look at the world through a lens that makes you think that makes more sense. Yeah, or that confirms that I'm not the only one that cares so much about the village while feeling like I'm the pariah for thinking that way. Scotty, trucking man. Okay, we've got some thumbs up there for Liam. Army would need more sergeants if we did start a draft. Army would need more sergeants. You know what, Adam? I would sign back up tomorrow. If the army said to me, Kaz, come back, School of Infantry, whatever, I am willing to sign back up. And I do believe that we need a national service. I do not believe in a conscription. I don't want some arse monkey, beside me and then teaching them how to throw a grenade, when he's got some nihilistic opinions of the world and doesn't give a shit, doesn't love his nation that has given him everything he has, or someone that doesn't have the muscle of an oyster to be able to throw said grenade and then puts me in danger as well, although we have standing operated procedures for people that have got too much estrogen. Guys, I want you to have a good life. I want you to have a career. I want you to have a philosophy that makes you actually proud of yourself rather than self-loathing through achieving nothing in life, right? You are a franchise. There's 7 billion franchises in the world. and you want to make little franchises of yourself, an extension of your legacy that goes on for eons. But we're slipping into a weird space. Look at all those yellow hands out there, you racist bastards. Hey, Wade, how you going, mate? When are we going to have that chat? It's funny, we can have so many people that are so willing to put their hand up, put their foot forward, step over the line of departure, put a hat on, similar to this. Let's go. Oh, this drives people crazy, team. I'll tell you something. Whoop, watch out, Skippy Badge. Watch out, Skippy Badge. So, get rid of that tactics cap. This is the, this cap, is what you want when you join the military team. If you're in infantry, righto, bam, tactics wing hat. That's what you want to do. Give them back, learning all the time. Now, this hat at the moment, the reason why it's got a bend like this, you might be asking, is because that's what quarter of a century in the uniform does. Tipping the hat in hot tropical environments so that the ladies know that you're giving them a little bit of a, how you going? Right? Maybe I'm next Mr. Wrong. What do we got here? Important that you have people in the army who truly want to be there and can do effectively when you don't, can do the job effectively when you don't, you put the lives of serving members and the public at risk. Exactly. Scotty also says we all need morals and should always live by them. G'day, Kaz, says Ty Smith. G'day, Ty. We're going to have a conversation too, aren't we, my man? So this is the thing. When we train people, right, you want to know that you have got the A team and they are always going to be volunteers. Otherwise, you might as well be a conscript. We'll go through them like a knife through butter. That's why China's numbers don't scare me. It's why Russia's numbers don't scare me. When you look what Australia does on a battlefield, quite often we're the ones that are outnumbered, but we still take the blade, we still take the bayonet to the foe. And when we do that, they walk away with the reputation of the Australian Anzac that tells them, do not fuck with those guys. Whether it be the bearded ones, our special forces soldiers in Afghanistan and Iraq, whether it be against the Koreans and the Chinese, when the Australians with bayonets at Kapyong, 3 RAR, Samashon, with the 2nd Battalion, right? Whether it be 6 RAR at the Battle of Long Tan, we stand up, we fight, and we don't run. Right? Whether it be the freeing of Villas Bretno, and then the civilians, the fantastic civilians of South Australia, buying a school, for the French people after theirs was destroyed. Right? Whether it be the relationship we have with the Turk now, that through Ataturk, we've come to the conclusion that there is a brotherhood between us and the Turk that hadn't met an Australian, that we fought together against each other, on the Gallipoli Peninsula, right? And from there, we've now been buried with them. Whether it be the fact that Germans come to Australia by choice, out of respect. Japan, a former enemy, who carried a bigger blade than us with the 303, now becomes the #1 destination for Australians. It's because there's respect there. If you respect yourself and you respect your nation, you respect your family, and you know who your God is, and you're willing to sacrifice yourself for the team, for the tribe, for the next generation, that's fantastic. But unfortunately, what happens as well, and we're going to see this in bloody Ukraine, is the best, the brightest, and the bravest. They're the ones that lose their lives for the guy, with the pen and the corporate credit card, so they can still sit and get fatter, year after year after year. You kill the cream of your nation, of your tribe, where the real leaders come from, where those that know what sacrifice looks, smells, and tastes like. Our schools should be full of people, fast track from military, the best instructors in the world should be going straight over there and teaching history, geography, PT, being fun, right? Bring back education. YouTube videos, 1 day a week, learning about history, learning about animals, learning about geography, cooking, how to change a tyre, how to treat people, the reason why you let ladies go first, a sense of belonging and philosophy, the difference between Greece and Rome, right? The sacrifices made in the past. Who's a real hero to you? What do you stand for? What are your morals? Okay, you should be able to say to anyone that's over 18, so what do you stand for, mate? What's your morals you won't budge on? Red line, would be willing to fight for, would be willing to sacrifice for? What's something that I can not say without you going, well, now's the time I'm going to stand my ground, and it's worth losing a few teeth to tell you, not on my watch, not today. I'm not going to let you say that shit. You've got to know what you stand for, team. You do. What do I stand for? Family. Family is the most important thing. Without it, you don't have a future. What you've got is a lonely end of the story that you may not realise at the moment, is going to be a horrible part of your life. You can't hang on to the first 20 years of your life. The last 20 years suck because you used an elevator instead of the stairs. Anyway, what have we got here from you bright souls? Patrick, it's important that you have people in the army. Okay, we saw that one, Scotty. We all need morals and should always live by them. Absolutely. Ty, g'day. We've got Adam. Scott Knights of Christ. Long tan, outnumbered, but we overcame. Absolutely. Dad. Two dads. Must be from Tasmania. Simon Powell, 1 hour, 30 minutes. And we've got Adam spot on. Well, righto, team. This is the hat badge. Right? This is the hat badge, that people will pay for with 1 million or plus calories. Right? Doesn't cost much, but it costs you all of your energy. Now, those guys at the moment are on leave, but they come back in January, and 2026 might have some surprises for us. And if the 5 reasons I've said today are not enough to stop Russia from flipping the table, or if these 5 reasons are not enough to watch Germany, UK, France, Estonia, Finland, and all the others from trying their hardest to make a war happen, then God forgive us, because something's going to happen, right? And it'll change the foundation, it'll change the landscape of the entire world. And you never know who's going to come and get involved, just like no one expected Japan to get involved in World War II. No one expected that Germany would then turn on Russia, and then Russia would absolutely towel up Germany, including what they did to Berlin at the end of the war. Or the 2 bombs dropped on Japan. Don't forget, before you go, people, thumbs up. Have we got any more subscribers that are lurking out there? Thanks for the Sunday stream, Kaz. No problems there, Carl. Get ready for your trip tomorrow. I hope your hangover is gone from yesterday. And team, I wouldn't ask you to do something I haven't done myself, and that is to serve the nation. Right? Do it with a smile, create a legacy, a foundation, a bedrock of value systems, so that everything you do after that, you know that you did your bit for the village. it gives you the right to, bam, have a microphone, hello, in your hand and say, mate, I've served. What have you done? What's your contribution? Right? Right. Okay, team, take it easy. All the best to your mum, your dad, you know, and if you've got a problem, yo, I'll try to solve it. Vanilla ice. What else? Eric, Merry Christmas all. Merry Christmas all. And I'll probably be on tomorrow. Different subject, happier subject, but people don't tend to come for happy subjects. You know, we might do some reaction videos as well. Okay, thank you for your patience today. This is your Sunday. You know, I probably saved you a fortune from being out there buying Christmas presents. Go and play some Xbox, guys and gals, and keep out of that heat. And love your dog. Last question. Dad, Kaz, young lad was going to go to Duntroon, but he's decided and has placed infantry as first choice. Just needs his last fitness test and enlistment date. My dad would have thought it was a mistake when I went to infantry, mate. I was corps enlisted in SIGs. You know, I went over there as 58 kilos, you know, and guess what? I don't miss a day. I had to work a little bit harder. I'll tell you what, you know, I love what I do. I love who I am, you know, and I'm not good at a lot, but I do know what I'm willing to fight for. So all the best to you. It's going to be a great 2026. Dad, I hope you're proud as hell. And if you ever need to have a conversation with me, jump on Patreon and we can have those conversations together and I can tell you what to expect for your son as he goes into 2026 as a young lion who hasn't yet got his mane. I worry too, he's 17. Well, guess what? You're also, Dad, allowed to say no, and he can't go on operations while he's 17 either, by the way. So that's a good thing to you. And you also have the ability to pull his consent, but don't do that. You know, don't do that, you know. Yeah. But mucho respecto to him. Duty first. That's what we run by. We're a family. You know, if we fail together, not individually. You know, and I don't care if I don't like someone. You know, I take the run, I put them under my arm, you know, my wing around them, you know, and I make them a better version of himself. Righto. Statement of relevance. The reason why you're going to be taught this is so that you can learn this. By the end of this lesson, you'll be able to tell me do this without any disturbance or destruction of equipment or safety to your other personnel. Take it easy. Remember, Jesus died for us, you know, for our sins. Some of us made a few more sins than others. Forgive yourself, righto? And guys and gals, make sure you stand for something. Otherwise, you'll die for nothing. Catch us later. Appreciate ya. See you soon. That's